Quickly say that you can actually watch us live. We're live on Facebook and YouTube at Eagles FM Abuja. At Eagles FM Abuja. And the name of the program, this particular program, is I Wish I Knew. So it is a radio drama and a program. We discuss human trafficking issues after listening to the radio drama. So the continuation of the drama happens next week. So you are officially welcome. Drama and program right here on Eagles 102.3 FM. And we have right here the MICAD Executive Director, Mr. James Ikape, right here seated. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much.
After a long time.
Yes,
Happy New Year.
Thank you so much. It feels so good to be here once again.
And we're so glad, and thank you for believing in Eagles FM to do this together with you. And we hope that this journey will be beneficial to Nigeria as a whole and even the world at large. Now, looking at the I Wish I Knew project, what is this project all about?
All right, so the project is actually titled Preventive Actions Against Human Trafficking and Smuggling of Migrants. But the project has a component where we had to make a film,
Yes.
right, with stories of people who have been through the horrors of human trafficking. So it is that compendium, that video that is called the I Wish I Knew.
Okay.
Yeah, so in that movie, the survivors are just saying they wish they knew that they were going to go through those ordeals. If they knew, they wouldn't have embarked on the journey. Right, so yeah, so
So what you're saying that these are real life stories that we're dealing with?
yes, real life stories of people who have been through the
Wow.
horrors. Every story in that film is a story of somebody who has been through the horrors of human trafficking.
Wow.
Right, so yeah, so that is what the program is all about, preventive action against human trafficking and smuggling of migrants, funded by the Danish embassy in Nigeria, and then in partnership with the National Agency for Prohibition of Trafficking of Persons.
So NAPTIP is part of this. So we'd like to commend NAPTIP and of course the Danish embassy, right here, Danish?
Yes,
in Danish
Danish.
embassy in Nigeria for looking at this. Now, looking at this particular project, what do we hope to achieve at the end of this whole project?
Okay, the project hopes to achieve 5 major things. We have 5 major outcomes from this project. The first one is we want to be able to produce a film
Yes.
titled I Wish I Knew that will be used to reach out to the second outcome or the second result,
Yes.
which will be used to create awareness amongst 40,000 people in 6 states of Nigeria, namely Abuja, Plateau, Katsina, Kano, Edo, and Kaduna.
Okay.
That is the second result we aim to achieve. That's reach out to 40,000 people with the film. So 40,000 people watch the film and see the messages around there, few questionnaires before and after. And then also we intend to also, because we know that survivors of human trafficking oftentimes return to Nigeria with little or nothing.
Oh, yes.
So we intend to also build, train them on how to run businesses.
Oh, wow.
For those who are already running businesses, we will just engage them more to see how they can run their businesses successfully. And then we would not just stop at helping them run businesses. We'll also empower 600 of those people,
Wow.
right, with soft grants to start up these small businesses. And then also we would provide scholarship for those who would still want to go back to school. That's for those who were trafficked quite early and could not have the opportunity to further their education, who would want to go back to school. We also have scholarship for 100 of those people to be able to go back to school. And then also we don't just want to do the training for those only, because our funding is a bit limited, so we can only afford to fund 600 people to start with the small loans, the small grants, sorry. But we want to train as victims of human trafficking, and then also then we can fund that. And then also, because we know that we cannot do this work alone,
Yes, sir.
we need the support of government, we need the support of international community, we need the support of everybody to be able to carry out this project. So this project also has an advocacy component that will be done locally and internationally. The local advocacy will be done amongst government organizations, private organizations, civil society groups working in the counter human trafficking space, as well as also Yeah, and then the international component will also be, the advocacy will be done amongst government organizations in Europe, embassies and all that, so that we can see how we can fight this scourge together.
Awesome.
Because trafficking is not just a local thing; it's international as well as local, and we have to all come together to do
That's
that.
right.
And then lastly, also because the team working on the project also needs their capacity to be enhanced, so that they can effectively deliver on this project.
Yes.
We also have a component that will ensure that they are trained,
Yes.
so that within the period of 5 years that the project will be running, so that they can effectively
That's
deliver
right.
on their
Awesome.
on the
Awesome.
outcomes of the project.
What prompted the choice of the states? When you were mentioning the states, is there any reason behind picking those particular areas?
Yes. So the choice of the state has to do with for the northern Nigeria. That's the Kano, the Kaduna, the Plateau, the Katsina. You realize that those states are very endemic to conflict. There are a
Okay.
lot of conflicts happening around
Yes.
like this, and we all know that wherever there's conflict, it's a ripe zone for traffickers
That's
to trade, because of most people are in the IDP camps, most people are homeless and all that. So we need to be able to reach out to these people in these areas to be able to talk to them about the dangers of human trafficking, how to spot human trafficking. Right, Katsina is one of the new routes,
Oh,
trafficking
the,
routes.
the border, because of the
Yes,
border.
so that is the choice for Katsina especially, but for the
Wow.
others, I think it's because of their how prone those areas are to trafficking, because of some of the peculiar things that challenges that they are facing, like I mentioned. And then for Edo and for Edo, Edo has been on the news for a very long time as a human trafficking capital. So those are the reasons for the selection of the states.
And so, if you're listening and perhaps you're wondering why maybe there are cases in other states, and you're saying that maybe these are the only states. No, if you know of any issues in any states that are not being mentioned, you should speak, because somebody out there can be a victim in any of those states that have not been mentioned. And one thing that we know, MICAD is always proactive. So you can always reach out. And I'm going to be sharing with you some lines that you can reach out if you think that somebody is about to become a victim. We don't have to always allow people to become victims before we can take an action. So wherever you're listening to us from or watching us from, you can always speak about it. Now, looking at this particular project, what are the steps that MICAD is taking to ensure that this particular project is fully implemented?
Okay, so we've started the project already. We started in January.
Yes.
But what we're doing now is just setting the pace for how the next 5 years will be. So we've carried out a series of activities. We've held stakeholders engagements,
Yes.
stakeholders orientation meeting in Abuja. In the coming week, from Monday, we'll be in Kaduna to also have a stakeholders engagement with the key stakeholders we're working in Kaduna.
Okay.
So that this we are doing so to ensure that everybody who is on this project knows what we set out. We want to get as many people as possible involved, so that the message can be very wide, and then people can get to know. Because if you see, there are a lot of push factors, a lot of people running out of the country,
Yes.
right?
The
And then
Japa
when they run,
syndrome.
yes, the Japa syndrome. We're not saying it's wrong for people to go out. Migration is a human right. It's
Yes.
our right to migrate.
Yeah.
But if you must migrate, then you must migrate properly.
Absolutely.
No irregular migration, no migrating without papers, no migrating through the borders. So those are some of the things we want to cope. And then also, in case you go to the foreign land where you want to migrate to, when you have done it regularly, that's with all your papers, you go through the embassy, got your visa and all that, and your passports are not forged, and you're going and you encounter any form of exploitation, right? You can easily reach out to say, you can also have pointers to who and who you can reach out to and all that. So basically that's the essence of the intervention.
Okay. All right. So if you're listening, if you have any question to ask our guests in the studio, it is the I Wish I Knew radio drama and project and program right here on Eagles 102.3 FM. So please, you can send your questions either through WhatsApp. You want to send a voice note, you want to send a WhatsApp message or text message, you can send it to 090 97 05 4450. That is 090 9705 4450. But if you want to call us live in the studio and contribute on the program, you can call us on 090 87668888. Let me take that one more time, 090 87668888 if you want to contribute on the program right here in the studio. All right, so looking at the stakeholders you've mentioned, you said you've had a training with them. Who are these stakeholders?
All right, so we're working with, of course, the number one organization in Nigeria saddled with the responsibility of handling human trafficking cases, NAPTIP.
Yes.
So they're first on the Network Against Child Trafficking, Abuse and Labor, NACTAL.
Okay.
NACTAL is also one of the organizations on the list. We have schools, tertiary institutions on the list, which we'll be working with in all the states of the project.
Okay.
We have organizations in civil society organizations in the states that we will be working with as well. And then also we have the Nigerian police, which we'll be working with as well, and all that. So those are some of the organizations that we'll be working with as, those are some of the stakeholders we'll be working with.
I remember when we, there was a time you were here on to talk about human trafficking, and you talked about the different aspects of human trafficking and smuggling. And looking at this particular project, like, is there a particular area or aspect of the human trafficking that this particular project is addressing in, it's been specific now?
Yeah, so we're addressing human trafficking as a whole. So we're addressing the organ harvesting, the child
okay, so
labor.
let's look a little bit in breaking down. So when you pick one, we'll just look at breakdown of it. So when we talk about human organ trafficking, what does it mean?
Okay, to it's simply, in simple terms, it's just it means to exploit people to get their organs.
Okay.
Right. So
do they usually get offers like I'm giving you a job, then you go and you find out that it's okay.
So oftentimes what the traffickers use lies, right? So they can deceive you that we want you to come and work for us, but when you get there, you realize that it's completely something different. Probably they now start talking you into maybe selling your organs and all that, or even trading your organs for free, or even drug, to the point that they will even drug you, and then when you're asleep, they remove the organ they want. So this kind of this kind of stuff. So it's just simply exploiting people to get their organs.
Now, which other types of
so we also have domestic servitude, where you maybe go to a village, talk to an old woman or an old man or a poor family that cannot cater for their children, with the false promises of if you give me this girl, bring her to the city, I would train her in school and all that. But when you bring her to town, that is not the case. You begin to exploit her. She's not in school. She works for you from 6 a.m. till dawn. Aside the fact that it's also a form of child labor, which is also a crime, it also has a lot of negative effect on the child, right? Because the child will be subjected to conditions that he or she might not. It's not appropriate for a child and all that. So so that's what domestic servitude is all about. And then I've also talked a bit about child labor as well. Then also we have the trafficking for tissues, cells and eggs. That is the latest one.
I'm just hearing this for the first time.
Yes. So if you hear stories of maybe young girls being deceived, or maybe being cajoled or being deceived to a lab to donate their eggs. Wow. Yeah, and most times this is the of course sometimes they agree for a certain amount. But if you look at the amount they agreed for, you know that this is a clear case of exploitation.
It is
because
really.
the amount of money they pay them is nothing compared to what they are doing. So that's also another form of trafficking. And then also we have the forced marriage, where you force a girl.
But does that still happen?
It does, a lot.
Wow.
It does. It does. I think very recently, I can't really recall the state. I think we we got information of cases like that. After we showed some of our films,
Yes.
it's even in Abuja, I remember now clearly, in Kwali.
Wow.
After we showed one of the films we produced on forced marriage in one of the schools in Kwali, one of the girls walked up to one of our team members after the film show.
Yes.
And all that to say, my community.
Wow.
There are a lot of young girls that are married out. And we made efforts to meet with the community chiefs and also speak to them, make them watch the film so they can also see the dangers of child marriage. So it was from that little girl that we're able to discover that community, and we're working with the community to see how that is also reduced.
Awesome.
Yeah, so those are just some of the forms of human trafficking I would like to highlight here.
All right, awesome. Wow. It looks like there's a whole lot that we don't know that's happening. Like, it means like the traffickers are always scheming for new ways to, traffic and all of that.
Sorry, there was a very important one I left out.
Yes.
The sextortion, right?
Yes.
Where people use, maybe someone you're in a relationship with, asks for private pictures of you.
Yes.
And then after that, or maybe someone you're not even related to, you give somebody your phone, they collect private pictures of you, and then they begin to use it to exploit you. Ask for money, like blackmail you that if you don't give me money, I'll report you I'll put out your pictures. That's also a form of trafficking, right? It's called sextortion, and it's a crime. It can be, if you're listening to me and you're a victim of this, please don't die in silence. All you need to do is just to take your case to NAPTIP, report NAPTIP, and take your case to NAPTIP, report them, and that person will be investigated and, if possible, prosecuted and put behind bars. So yeah, I just needed to mention that. And also, when we talk about human trafficking, oftentimes people mistake human trafficking and smuggling of migrants, because this project has to do with human trafficking and smuggling of migrants. Right. Human trafficking, in the case of human trafficking, we look at three major elements: the act, the purpose, and the means. Right? The act, how is this carried out?
Yes.
Oftentimes through coercion, through deception, through lies, through and all that. What is the means? What is the purpose of people doing this? They do this purposely for exploitation, with the aim of exploitation. No matter how beautiful they pen the stories, the purpose for this is exploitation.
Yeah.
But when we talk about smuggling of migrants, oftentimes is people pay right to facilitate the movement they are not natives of. Yeah, so those are the two different things. People are deceased, and in the other one, the people actually, the victim actually fund it or sponsor it, like
or
that.
knowingly that this will be the outcome.
Knowingly.
Wow.
But they don't expect that when they get across borders, they will be exploited.
Yes.
They do it knowingly.
Wow.
But when they get across the borders, then
the story changes.
The story changes. So sometimes it is even people who even fund their trips to go, and then when they get to their destination, the story changes completely.
I wanted to just say, this Jakpati, let's just be careful. Like,
honestly.
Trying to get a better life, and you find yourself in, a kind of situation. Now, somebody is listening, and they're wondering where they can come in as a listener. Do they have a role, or a viewer? Do they have a role to play in this, or it's just MICAD and the stakeholders you mentioned?
No. Everybody is a stakeholder on this project.
Actually.
But of course, you know that we cannot bring everybody together to say you are a stakeholder because of the scarce resources. So everybody is a stakeholder. Everybody has a role to play when it comes to ending human trafficking.
That's right.
It has to do with, one, our humanity. If you have ever listened or heard or come in contact with somebody who have been through the horrors of human trafficking, you will not wish it for even your worst enemy, right? So everyone has a role to play. What role do the communities, individuals have to play? Please, when you see something, don't keep quiet. And then, because this project is not happening in your state, does not mean that when you see something, you cannot say something, right? We have helplines. You can just Google NAPTIP helpline, right? You can check online. MICAT organization, it will pop up. You see phone numbers you can call. When you have issues like this, Nigerian Police helpline, when you have issues like this, please just pick one of these helplines, report the case. And if you want it to be after reporting, you can also pick our own hotline, and also share with us so that we can also help follow up on the case. Yes. Right. So everyone has a role to play to end human trafficking. Please, when you see something, ensure that you say something. It concerns you too.
It concerns you. Now let me quickly share with you. If you see something and you want to say something, the NAPTIP short code is 627. It's free, toll free, right? 627, and you can report any case. See, sometimes these things happen without any notice. Somebody just comes and gives the offer, or somebody has accepted the offer, and right before our eyes, our brothers, our sisters have become victims. So please pick the number. You don't know when you will need it, so just save it on your phone. It will be useful. 627, that's the short code. You can use that one to reach out, or still for NAPTIP helpline, 070 30000, so zeros in 4 places. I'll take the number from the beginning. 070 3, then zeros in 4 places, that is 0000, then 203. 0703, then 0000, 203. Now you can reach out to MICAT. MICAT is spelled MECAHT. Okay? MECAHT. This is the helpline that you can reach out to, and you can send a text message as well, and your privacy is guaranteed. Okay? We don't make it public. 0913 359 1611. 0913 359 1611. So it is the I wish I knew, so that you don't wish you knew to have called somebody to help someone, or even yourself. What will be your final words, especially looking forward to this particular project? We already have the stories, real life stories, for the radio drama and the films and all. Somebody is listening and they are about to take that decision. What would you tell them?
Please, before you take the decision, please don't take the decision from emotions. Don't take the decisions because of point where you have to do something in secrecy. Then you know that there's something wrong with that, right? So please don't take that decision